welcome to In the Rising podcast. My name is Bettina Brown, and this is the platform that I've chosen to talk about living a life that's in alignment with your hopes, your dreams, and your goals. Walking away from the posts that look like everything's perfect, and we know they're not, and basically shame and blame and guilt, because it does nothing to move the needle forward in our life. And my guest today is Darlene Morant, who is a newborn care specialist who really focuses on helping moms identify what support they may need, because you don't know until you're there. And she is the lovely mom of 4 children of her own and has so much to share. So I'm excited to share with you. So Darlene, I'm so glad that you're with me on this podcast today from Belize, my first South American exposure live broadcast. I feel real uppity right now.
You are, because we are uppity.
We are moving along. And so, you expressed that you have 4 beautiful children. I've been to your website. They are gorgeous children, and you've had them very close together. Yes. And you're really big on supporting moms. Can you kind of just go into a little bit background of where you went, where you were, and like where you are right now? What's your goal?
Well, my goal is to make sure that every woman has support. That's my goal now, because I wanted 4 children. I didn't naturally know that they would come that close. However, that has been a blessing for me, having them so close together. But that also meant that I had years of diapers, so my whole life was a little schizoid for a moment. However, my career is also with newborns. I'm a newborn care specialist. So I'm constantly with babies, constantly with children. And the newborn stage for me is the sweet spot. I love the care and the massaging and the smiles and, the gums. I love all of that portion of it. But once my children started to walk and talk, I was like, okay, so I'm not going to be a homeschool parent because you guys have to go to school. This is just not going to work out. So once learning that and going through it, though, it's a lot. It's a lot of work being a parent. It's a lot of work being a woman, much less. And now you have these little people who are talking. That's the thing that was the biggest for me. Once they started talking, I was like, am I hearing voices? Why am I hearing voices? And what are we going to do about these voices? Yeah. Because I was a child that was not to be seen or heard.
Yeah.
Children, right? From the Caribbean background that I grew up in, children are to be seen and not heard. But my children, I've changed some of my parenting so they can have a voice. But these voices aren't always the things that I want to hear.
So you've done a lot of conscious parenting to change from how you were raised into right now. Was that, how do you have to consciously stay in that place every day? Or is it kind of easier now years into it?
No. It never gets easier. It never gets easier. It gets more manageable. I'm a better parent now than I was when I started because I've grown through therapy, through crafting, because I craft a lot more now, through just learning more about me has created me to be a better person and to be a better parent. But in the beginning, I was the same type of parent that my mom was. There's no to everything. Everything is be extra careful. Everything is, over the top. But now I listen more to my children. I laugh more. We have more fun. When they say things that makes my neck break, I make my neck break internally and not externally, so I can kind of hear them a little bit more. And I find that if we don't have a support system, which I didn't have much of a support system when I started having my children, because I lived in a state where not many of my family members lived, right? So I had to create a support system of just outside friends. And now that I'm going through a divorce and everything, it's very different, the transition for my children. So it's important for me to be as structured as I can be in certain areas so that they can have a consistency that they need. Their life needs to be more fluid.
Yes. I love how you pointed out that this is a thing that does not necessarily get easier, but it's still rewarding. And I think it is so important, especially when you're a newer mom. Cause I was like, you're going to just give me this kid and I can go home. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't even know if I'm safe to take this child, but no. It's okay to have it be rewarding and not easy.
It is. It is completely okay for you to go off the rails. It is completely okay for you to leave your screaming child in a crib and go sit in the bathroom toilet and cry. It's completely okay. There's no judgment on my website. There's no judgment on my blog. There's no judgment on my Instagram feed when it comes to parenting, because we've always joked, I think, as women, that there is no manual that comes with children, but it's fact. Everything that you go through is in the moment, and you're a unique person dealing with it in the moment. So being able to rest, which is the platform that I created, being able to relax, being able to experience, being able to be strong, and being able to have a testimony is extremely important in parenting.
Yeah, absolutely. And to know that it's okay to go off the rails, because in that moment, I mean, and again, because some people, I know they're going to go that, so I'm just going to verbalize. We're not talking abuse. We're talking about you have your moment where you're just like, I'm done. I don't know. It is okay to not have all the answers and to just have a little breakdown. But it's also so important for your children to see you as a human being and as a woman, not just as mom.
That's right.
Yeah. There's so much
where
to
vulnerability comes in. And that's an extremely important statement for each mom.
Yeah.
You still have to be a person. And the reason that now we are having this conversation is because in my 40s, I figured out, okay, I'm a middle-aged mom, I'm a perimenopausal mom, and I'm lost. All I've been doing for the last 12, 13 years is being a mom. I'm not just a mom to my children, I'm a mom to other people's children too in my profession. So what happens now? However, recognizing from a subconscious standpoint that my children need to see a vulnerable mom, they need to see a powerful mom, they need to see a woman, they need to see a real woman. That's what started to make the shift of like, okay, Darlene, you have to get back to the things that you love, because then that allows you to give more love. You have to get back to the things that give you structure, because that provides more structure for the children. And that's how this all started to turn around. Because you can easily go down the rabbit hole of parenting. And then when your children get to a certain age, you're like, okay, what's going on? Who's on first? I don't know what I'm doing here anymore.
Yeah. And I think it's so important to figure those things out, because I think it's Khalil Gibran that talks about, he has this book called The Poet, where he talks that children are through you, that we kind of think we own them, but they are their own individual people with their own wings. And we are to help guide those wings. But, we don't own their experience. So that means those disappointments, we don't have to carry it. I was a bad mom, I let you down. Sometimes we have been bad moms. Some we've had bad experiences, but it is their growth that the same issues and traumas that have shaped us and moved on, they experience that too, but we can still be support for that.
Correct. And support in a way that has gates, like fences with gates, rather than just fences that have to be climbed. You know what I mean? My thought for that is there needs to be outlets. Yeah. So the gates are for when it's time for us to say, okay, you need to be on that other side of the fence, and I need to be on this side of the fence.
Yeah, I like the gate analogy. I love the gate analogy. I think that because in the mind, it just says there still has to be an outlet. Like it can't just stay within you or your child, for sure. And, when you have 4 children, I only have 1, but when you have 4 children, that's a unique opportunity to see 4 creations adapt to their world. And how do you go about providing them that support? Like, what is your conversation, or how do you work with your children to let them know that they have these gates?
Let me just say that before I answer that question, is that having 1 is just as hectic as having 4. And I think a lot of mommies that have 1 think that the mommies that have more are actually doing something different, or they're doing something, much bigger work because we have more children, but it's the same amount of drama. Okay. all the time. Don't take anything away from that you have one, because all the stages that I've had to go through, even though I go through them 4 times, you go through them with the one. And for them to realize that they have outlets, my goal is to talk with my children, because initially there was no talking for me. So right now, which is not the way society would have you to parent, right now my children spend a lot more time with their dad because of the assignment that I'm on. So the assignment that I'm on is a live-in assignment. So they spend more time with daddy than they do with me. Therefore, when I'm with them, or I talk to them every day or every other day, it's just, how are you doing? What did you learn in school today? Tell me what happened. And if they are distracted, which they normally are, by either their gadget time that they're having at the moment, it's just, then I switch it. Okay, so what are you watching? Can you show me? Can I watch with you? That opens them up to give me an insight into what they're doing, rather than me wanting it to be, oh, mommy loves you, I need to, how are you? You know what I mean? Because then they pull away because they want to be into what they're experiencing.
Yeah.
And that has been challenging, but it's something that I've learned, and I'm learning continuously, is that as they get older, to be more into what they want to talk about, what they are feeling, and then help them to frame it as best I can. Because it's not about me, like you said, like Khalil Gibran said, it's not my experience, it's me guiding their experience.
Yes. And in that guiding, not necessarily losing yourself either with that.
Yep.
And so many of us do. I definitely did in the early years of my son. I wanted to be the perfect mom. And I was just disappointed in not being that perfect vision. But when I have the conversation now with my son, I learned this question. It was a conversation just, between mom and mom, where she was reading some book and she said, she read somewhere, and I don't remember where, of course, but it's not just, I love you, do you know I love you? But asking the question, in what ways do you know I love you? How do you feel I show love to you? And that actually opened up a whole conversation in ways that I did not know how I was impacting my child. I thought he just wanted, my money to buy him whatever, but he really could tell me what he appreciated. And that filled my love tank bigger than just having a conversation about his day, just to get on their level.
That's amazing. I'm actually going to have to implement that.
Okay.
That's something great takeaway. That's something that I can definitely ask more of.
Yes.
And I think what I did with it, and I didn't read them yet, I brought with me my children's journals. What I started to do was keep a journal for them, especially because I'm away from them a little bit of the time. So I write a little note to them every day, whether it's just, I love you. And then when I see them, I hand it over, right? And then they get to read what I've written and write me little notes for a period of time. And then I take the journal back. So they wrote this summer, they had it while they were in Jamaica with their grandparents. And, they didn't write enough, but didn't write enough for me, but they wrote. So when I talked to them, I'm like, did you write in your journal today? Did you write me a note today? And they, they joke about it, but at least I know that they were thinking about it and I was thinking about them. So it helps them to see it too, when you're writing and when you're talking to them in that way.
And that's also amazing that you are encouraging a lot of family time, and not just, it's all about mom, but this, your father is important. Your grandparents are important. And yes, when you we quote, lose time, but that time with other people is just as crucial.
Correct. It is crucial.
So tell me a little bit, what sparked the interest to get this website and blog going? Like what is your mission through this?
My mission is to make sure other middle-aged mamas is mostly my sweet spot, because we have a whole gamut going on. In your 40s, right? Your brain starts to go a little haywire with emotions. Your hormones are a little kind of wacky. And then you have these littles. So it's for mostly moms with littles in their 40s. And I need for them to know that they're going to get through. right? We're not going to go crazy. We're not going to lose ourselves in motherhood in our 40s like I did. Let's not let it happen to you too.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah.
having another Me Too movement with the mothering and the losing ourselves. So that's how I finally decided, I said, I need to write some of these things down.
Mm-hmm.
I need to support other moms with the things that I know, whether it be via my profession or the things that I've learned about mothering my own children, whether it be challenges or great sweet spots, because hasn't been all challenges, but it's definitely been different than I expected.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I created a fantasy in my head before I had children as to what motherhood was going to be like. And trust me, that it has since been shattered, because I thought my children are going to just latch and breastfeed and it's going to be, no, none of that happened in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. And you really focus on, what I noticed is that you focus on creativity, and you talk about crocheting and knitting. Where do you feel that creative outlet may be missing for a lot of moms?
I feel that we as parents, because we think as soon as we become a parent, it becomes all about this other little person, right? And even if we liked refurbishing furniture, whether it be a little stool or a dresser, everything after having children seems so big to do. And so we do nothing. We just parent and we mother and we parent. We parent our spouse at times. We parent our children. We parent ourselves. But the time that it takes to refurbish a stool, the time that it takes to break ceramics and create a little mosaic, or to learn needlepoint, those are the times when our mind actually connects with us and who we are and what speaks to us. And so that's why I stick with the creative side. I learned to crochet and knit when I was in my teens. I mean, years and years ago. But it wasn't until after I had children that I started picking it back up again, because I needed an outlet that didn't require me to go build another storefront or take on another, entrepreneurial journey at that moment, but something to center me in a way that I was still having fun and still recognizing me.
Yeah.
So that's why I focused on crafting and creativity. For some women, crafting or creativity is them being able to take a jog every morning. And I mean every morning, because some women love to run, and that making sure that is a part of your schedule, part of your routine, and doesn't get tossed to the side, is where I focus on them having an outlet.
And so you have your website with trainings coming soon. Where are you envisioning Darlene moving to? Like, where are you going?
Well, because COVID kind of switched or allowed everyone to pivot in a way, I will be moving to more virtual seminars for groups for moms, more motivational speaking for mommies as well. And I have some evergreen products that will come out over the next few months to just help new mommies with breastfeeding, or help new mommies with getting their children to sleep. Because even though there's a culture of just do what you can, just do what you need to, I firmly believe, and I've always taught my mommies, if you get your child on a schedule, your life will be so much easier. Even if they're now 10 and 11, it's harder to get them on a schedule, but I promise you it'll bring more normalcy to your life, right? It's like a schedule could be every night at 8:00, you're in bed. Some children don't go to bed till 10:30, 11. But then when does mommy get to go to bed? When does mommy get to start? You know what I mean? So even something as simple as that. So I've created moving on to more virtual workshops so that I can free up some of my time and still support my community.
Absolutely. And, with this, you reach more people when you're in a virtual space as well, because there are so many new moms, and this is your job. So you're combining your job and your mission together, because you know about those newborns, where unless you've had a lot of family, you're really in the dark. And then the most I had, which was still something, but, even from my own mom, the last baby she had was me, and it was like 32 years ago. So it was a long time ago. And, they were stay-at-home moms, my mother-in-law at the time. And it's a different world when you work 1, 2 jobs. And how do you migrate that? And when you don't have the support system, and when you are kind of lost, and when you're, there's all these other things that we have now, but it brings the same issues may be there, but we are in different worlds.
Correct. So creating a sense of normalcy, creating rest, which is the acronym that I've created, creating rest for ourselves as parents, as mothers, as holding space for each other, I believe is a huge void that hasn't been there, because we each believe that we're doing this on our own. Even with our support system, we believe that, I have to do this because now I've birthed this little person and I have to do this all. No, there are things that we can delegate. There are things that we can ask for help with. And when it's time for us to relax so that we can actually feel our mind come like this, right? And say, okay, you're still a human. You're still worth it. It didn't matter that you got peed on today. You're going to be fine.
It's going to be okay.
It's necessary. It's necessary to do that and experience it. Don't just say, oh my God, why did I get beat on? I'm supposed to. No, there's no supposed to. You just do it the way that you can. And know that the next time you're going to put a pee-pee-tee-pee on your baby's penis so you don't get beat on. You have to experience these things.
Yeah, you do.
And definitely strength. Exercise is another part of the platform for me. And whatever exercise looks like for my moms. If it looks like 5 minutes, you walk down to the corner and you come back, or you park at Target, you park in the far end of the parking lot and walk when you go get the groceries, then do that. Because I find we need physical strength to rear our children, not just emotional strength. We need physical strength. And it doesn't look like a size 0 or a size 12 or a size 20. I'm not talking about a pant size. I'm definitely talking about physical body strength to be able to at least catch a ball with our child, or pick them up and toss them over our shoulder. You know what I mean? So they can chuckle, whatever that requires in your family dynamic.
Yeah.
And then just share it with other mommies. Share it with other women. Let them know that, hey, today I got pooped on. Yep, the poop came through the diaper. I was wearing it on my pants. I was wearing it in my hands. And look, I survived. I'm okay.
Yes. And I think that's where you said when you derail, it's so important, because I had that same experience where my son, middle of the night, projectile poop, and I literally just cried. I just held his legs there and I just cried. And I couldn't even wipe my tears because they were loaded. And so my hands were loaded. And so in that moment, I'm like, did I ask for this? And it was not that I didn't understand or the love of the miracle and the blessing, but those blessings come with some things. And those are things that you'll go through, and that's okay. And then even the physical strength to hold a baby, it's always cute when you hold one for 5 minutes, but when they're yours, my arms were tired. I realized I didn't have enough arm strength to hold my own child. I was like, God, I want to put him down. Nope, I got to pick him back up. And you don't realize the endurance of go, 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 go. Yeah. And I think, and it's not to downplay motherhood, but I think the more you can, when it happens to you, like, yeah, I think I heard this, and they laughed it off. At least I wasn't alone. At least I'm okay with that. And I think with what you're doing and reaching out to new moms, especially because a lot of us don't have kids at 17 anymore. We're getting a little older, that our body's a little different too. To really make that change, I think is really great work.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I think moms, women in general, are special creatures. And then to be able to not just birth, because I'm not talking about mommies that have had a C-section or had a vaginal birth. I'm talking about foster mommies. I'm talking about mommies that adopt. I'm talking about mommies that surrogate.
Yeah.
All of those are mothers. Once you get the opportunity to have some other little person move into your life, right? There's some special things that come along with it, but there are also some challenges. Yeah. And the things that we see on Instagram and the things that we see on Google, they're not always real life. So I'm here to let the mommies know, hey, crap is going to happen. And it's going to happen often, but you're going to make it. Look, this other mom made it, and this other mom made it. So we're going to get through. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we talk about it enough, which is why I do what I do.
I don't think we talk about it enough. And in your own blog, you said, now just take your cape off for a moment, like the super mom, and be with me just for a moment, because the moment we're a mom, we reach for the cape. And I think that being a woman, we reach for the cape often, not all, but many of us, because it seems like it's as necessary as hairspray, and it's not. It's definitely not important. So I am so grateful for our time today. Tell the audience, please, like how they can get in touch with you, what your website is. I'm going to post it anyway, but for us auditory listeners and learners.
Yes. I am at Darlene.Morant on IG. I'm at DarleneMorantConsulting.com is my website. And on Facebook, I'm Darlene.Morant. And I'm also creating a group that will come out a little later on Facebook to support mommies. So that'll be a private group where moms can just come in there and spill the tea. Today I didn't make enough breast milk and I feel horrible. And other mommies can step in and say, it's okay. Some mommies don't get breast milk and formula is fine, because it's really, really important to me. So you guys can find me on those platforms. It's important to me that we hold space for each other as mothers and not Instagramize. If I could use, I made up my own word, parenting. If we can be as authentic and vulnerable for each other, I believe that we can get through our parenting and still come out on the other side, because these children do grow up, right? They do, grow up. Some leave, some don't, but they do grow up. And we still have to maintain ourselves because we have them afterwards. Afterwards we're left with ourselves once these children are grown and gone, or grown and stay. So we, nurturing ourselves through that process.
So I took away quite a bit from this conversation, as I do with so many guests who are phenomenal in just their own life experience and using their professional and personal experiences to really change not only their own lives, but know that there's a legacy to leave for so many others. I encourage you to get in contact with Darlene. She has so many new projects on the horizon to really help moms be the best moms in whatever year we start that off, right? There's idealism and then there's reality. And so if you found this podcast helpful, beneficial, share it with someone that would really benefit from it. This podcast does so much more when it's in the hands and ears of those that it can make an impact and therefore create a change for. I also encourage you to leave a review. It takes very little time from you, but does so much to help put this in the right hands at the right time. And until next time, let's keep building one another up.